What's going on, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. My name is Kyle Smith. It is Monday, November 13th, 2023. It's going to be a weird episode. We have breaking news to talk about. We've got a game to review. All kinds of stuff today.
Injuries to talk about.
Yeah, it's a positive show, but it's weird. Introducing the other hosts on the show, as always, Kyle West is here. How are you, sir?
Hey-o, I am doing good. Ready to talk Vikings football. Always more entertaining after a victory, and that was a fun football game that we watched. I am always excited anytime the Vikings can beat the Saints. I dislike them. I'm still not over 2009. I hate them. They're cheaters. I think they even had a dirty hit on this game on Hawkinson. Don't know how that shit's still legal in the league now, but we beat them, so that's all that matters. Screw the Saints. Go Vikings.
I love that. Adam Carlson, how do you feel about the last 24 hours of Vikings land?
I want to take a nap.
Yeah, same. I'm ready to go to bed.
I mean, I'm pretty pleased with the way things are going, but there's still a lot of season to play out, so let's see how this goes.
Rizzo is talking about the breaking news. We'll go over all this. If you can read it on YouTube and you watch later, it's not The Onion, as I was just listening to a Twitter space earlier. This is an actual thing. Anthony Barr is coming back to the Vikings. There's some Jordan Hicks injury news we'll go over in just a second, but looks like a depth piece. I think that Ivan Pace is going to get the nod, or Brian Asamoah. But the cool thing about Anthony Barr coming back, and we'll dive into this later, is I'm not going to see him covering running backs in this, which is great. He's going to rush the passer, which is wonderful.
I was just going to say, is Mike Zimmer secretly shadow head coach of the Minnesota Vikings with Anthony Barr coming back to purple? No, I like it.
Double A gap blitz. Let's go.
You betcha. Can we get Kendricks back too? Is he still hurt? Or what do we got to do to get Kendricks and Barr back in Minnesota? No, you know what? It's fun. Like you said, he can be a good depth signing. Brian Flores will know how to use him to his strengths. Like you said, you bring him on the field, you have him rush the quarterback.
See, what I think is interesting, though, is I don't see Barr as a player that would be a replacement of any kind for Jordan Hicks. They're completely different players in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I just see linebacker depth now that one may be out for however long. Which is really weird what happened.
One's an inside linebacker and one's an edge rusher, pretty much.
It's true. They can play, but we've seen in this defense too. We've got safeties.
Are we going to see Barr at middle linebacker?
I don't know. You see
Flores is
playing corner and corners playing safety and there. All that.
Yeah,
safety's coming down as linebackers. I don't know what he's going to do, but after the third game of the season, which was essentially the end of our preseason, which is what I'm going to call it, the Vikings aren't 6-4. They are what can we say? We'll say 6-1. We won't count those. After that, there's some impressive stats for this Brian Flores defense. I don't know where he's going to use him. I know it's another body that's familiar. He's older. I don't expect much of anything out of Anthony Barr, but shifting to Jordan Hicks, he did have to have surgery.
We know how he's going to use him. How does Brian Flores use everyone? He's going to blitz the quarterback with him.
Go on that all inactive list every week.
Yeah.
That we're used to seeing.
Him and Lewis Seen together.
we can talk about that too. This from Kevin Seifert earlier today at 3:19 Eastern Standard Time, so not that long ago. Jordan Hicks was complaining about his leg. Obviously, if you watched the game live, you saw he said he had a shin injury. It was bothering him. He came back in. Afterwards, he had talked to the trainers. But apparently he's developed compartment syndrome, and he had to have surgery. He initially left the game during the first quarter, as Kevin Seifert said, after collided with teammate Cam Bynum. He returned to play another 23 defensive and special team snaps. And he had significant swelling in the post-game locker room, raising concern from the team's medical staff, and he was transported directly to a local hospital where the doctors recommended an immediate procedure. So that's kind of concerning. I'm glad they took care of it.
A good season too. I mean,
right.
He was defensive player of the week for the NFC one time already this year. So, I mean, it's hard to replace him.
Yeah, that's a good point, Adam. That any of the signings or anyone stepping up, I don't foresee them being an immediate exact replica of what he's been doing on the field. But I do think we should highlight that for all the things that we've said negative, whether they're warranted, whether they're emotional based, and some of the things that I say, whatever, the depth has shown its head this year, and it's been better than years past. I don't think certain teams in the past from the Vikings, as of recent memory, would have stepped up and played as well. And that does attribute a lot to the head coach and the defensive coordinator, because they're both.
Okay, I do see that Ben Gessling is saying that Anthony Barr is being signed to the practice squad, not the active roster. So that's a little different.
Nice. I believe, too, Jonathan was saying, so is Miles Gaskin. I think he was signed to the practice squad as well. So we'll see who gets elevated, if at all. We'll pay attention, because I believe they have the game in Denver and then a bye.
No.
Or is it Denver and then Chicago?
Denver on Sunday Night Football, Bears on Monday Night Football, and then the bye.
Okay, so they have 2 more games until the bye. So we have a little time. That draws another question I want to talk about, too. But
2 primetime games. What's the narrative going to be for how the Vikings are going to lose this one, since they can't use Kirk?
Well, they're already dogs in this game too, on the road and against a not good Denver team, so that's fun. Yeah, so I was saying earlier, Jonathan, was this team is next man up. The depth has really showed, and it's been in a positive way. I do think Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell are coaching at a high level. Whatever is working in the locker room is translating on the field after a slow, sluggish start. I don't know what this means for the team. With these guys signing, I think it's good to have these pieces just in case. My main concern that I just said on Twitter in a space with my buddy Mike was, I don't care who gets signed at what position outside of quarterback. I want Jaron Hall to get off that concussion protocol. I want KJ Osborne to come back, and I want Josh Dobbs to stay healthy the rest of the year. That's all I care about. Everything else, you can plug in, whatever, that's fine. If Justin Jefferson doesn't come back the rest of the year and they save his hamstring, so be it. I just want to see Josh Dobbs keep doing what he's doing, because
Justin Jefferson's in that window now where he's eligible to return when he's ready, but he was not able to yet. So they will activate him when he is ready, but it did not happen this weekend. There were some Vikings fans that were really upset and confused that he wasn't returning quite yet, and it's not like the first opportunity that he gets to come back, he has to.
Yep.
So, I mean, take time, get to be 100%. It kind of sucked that both him and Osborne missed the game on Sunday, but Minnesota found a way.
They did. TJ Hawkinson had one of his best games ever, and I think he set a record at some point. I forget what it was, but they had highlighted on the screen, which is great. Like I said, the coaching of this team is unbelievable. They really believe in themselves, and it's showing with the heart that they continue to put a shot on the field and the grip they play with. This is interesting. And I'm going to talk a lot of shit about this. Not to you, Wes. Wes, I appreciate you typing this, but I'm going to shit on Viking fans again because we are the worst fan base in all sports. The way that question is
worded is terrible.
In a Facebook football group, they had a poll question. Would you rather have the statue quarterback and Cousins come back? So you mean the pocket passer, not the statue. Kirk is very mobile in the pocket, which I will argue and defend. Or keep Dobbs with his mobility. The results showed we have a very divided fan base. 52% for Cousins and 48% for Dobbs. You know what this is? And I'm going to be very vulgar here. But
recency bias?
That's what it is. Yeah. I'm going to be very vulgar here. So if you have children listening, you might want to mute me for about 30 seconds. I'm not going to say any curse words or any slang or terms. But the thing I'm going to say is going to be gross. This is a guy who has a really hot wife, and there's no reason to leave the marriage. And then you just get lured in for about 3 weeks from the really slutty girl down the street. And it's not going to be anything that's going to last long term. Joshua Dobbs, I love you. And I'm sorry that you're that one in this story here. I think he's going to, if he continues this, he's going to go on and get paid somewhere else. Or if we have it my way, like we'll talk later in the show, I'd like to keep Cousins, Dobbs, and draft a rookie quarterback. But this fan base wouldn't know what's good for it if it slapped them in the face and gave them the answer to the open book test. If Kirk Cousins won a Super Bowl for this team, the fan base the day after the Super Bowl will be like, we need to get rid of him. He costs too much.
I need a larger sample size for Josh Dobbs in Minnesota before I'm willing to give him the keys to the ship. And I'm not knocking him. I am very happy with how he's played in Minnesota. I think it's well above what expectations were for him. And that doesn't mean that I don't think that there's life after Kirk Cousins. There 100% has to be life after Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, and it needs to come sooner rather than later. We always talk about doing the Bill Belichick thing of getting rid of a player maybe a year sooner instead of a year later. I think that quarterback is the one position, though, where you really might want to hold on to a guy a season longer than you should have if you don't have a solid replacement plan for him in place. I do think it's pretty clear based on what Kevin O'Connell has done in the draft and just signing free agents. He wants a mobile quarterback. He wants to have that skill set. He wants that Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes style quarterback out there, I think, who can scramble and make plays. And that's definitely Josh Dobbs fits that mold more than Kirk Cousins, but it's an interesting off-season discussion that we will have each and every week, I think.
No, depending on how you're looking at that, I both agree and disagree with you, Mr. West, because I am ready to see possibly Dobbs start for the rest of the season for the Vikings, but I'm not ready to lock him down as a long-term answer, if that's what you're talking about.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I want to see what Dobbs can offer this team the rest of the way out. I like Jaron Hall. I think I don't think he's going to be like a top tier starter in the NFL or anything, but I like what he can offer and what he can do for this team. But I would rather see Dobbs start over Hall if this team is trying to make a push for the playoffs or even a division title. So yeah, I'm ready for more Dobbs right now, even after just one start. One career start with Minnesota.
Well, the answer for all this too that we don't highlight enough is this is what this quarterback can do when he's on a really good team and he gets the opportunity. I don't think that Arizona is on the same level as Minnesota as far as the roster or the coach. I don't like the atmosphere there and all the drama they have with players having to pay for meals and shit like that. This is a top tier facility. The people around in Minnesota in the area are the nicest people in the country. There's Minnesota nice for a reason. The facilities, like we said, are wonderful. The stadium's great. And there's just talent on the team. Offensively, this team has a lot of pieces. You've got a quarterback-friendly and offensive-minded coach. The defense is playing top 5 in the league since week 4. This is what this kind of quarterback can do in this situation. Now, has he ad-libbed a lot? Sure. Is that hard to defend? Yes. Will it be stopped by a Philadelphia, a Dallas, or a Detroit? I absolutely believe that. I don't think this team beats Detroit, Dallas, or Philly. They've beaten San Francisco when they were down. And so far in these games where they're not they weren't favored to beat the Saints this weekend. They've started to rattle off some wins. The big test for me for the rest of the season not only is can Josh Dobbs sustain this play, but can you beat Cincinnati and Cincinnati? If they beat Cincinnati and Cincinnati and they've beaten San Francisco and they've rattled off 6 or 7 wins, I might start to actually believe. But right now, I think it's a little mixture of luck and a matter of circumstance combined with really good coaching. And they kind of ironed out the kinks. We started out the year 0-3. We were pissed at this team. There was like 12 turnovers in 3 games.
We're talking, dude. We were talking fire sale at one point.
Yeah.
We were like, how many guys?
I'm the first one to admit that. I was like, fuck this season.
It was dead wrong. We forget too because we're old school NFL fans at this point compared to a lot of the kids that are running Twitter accounts. We're all the old men yell at cloud. But the league is different. The way they've cut down on preseason and adding the extra game and the extra wild card team that can go into the playoffs, dude. The first 2 or 3 games of the season, I don't want to say they don't matter. You'd rather win them than lose them, but it doesn't matter as much as what it used to. You can start slow and get hot and win out, and you'll find a path to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm getting kind of tired of seeing the stat about 0-3 teams making the playoffs.
It don't matter anymore.
Well, here, to your point, Adam, we have to look at this coach and the team he was just tied to. They had a 3-game in a row losing streak, and they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah,
it can be done. It's crazy, Kyle. To your point, how because on paper it's just 1 game, but the length of how it helps out the schedule plus adding another team, it's almost like you get an extra freebie or 2 freebies to kind of iron out the kinks now.
the way the league stacks your divisional games towards the end of the season, generally speaking, if you're losing a couple at the beginning of the season, you can still win. You can still win the NFC North. You can still lock it down and secure your spot that way. So it's not as important, I don't think, to win weeks 1 or 2.
If you'd have told me at the beginning of the season, in the middle of the year, the Vikings would have 2 games where they wouldn't have Kirk Cousins or Justin Jefferson, I'd be like, well, they're probably losing those games.
Oh yeah, not only are they losing, they're getting blown out.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
yeah,
the strength of
Minnesota's
schedule,
finding ways to win. And it's with this defense that honestly has no reason to be doing as well as they are with the personnel they have, because we saw how bad Minnesota was doing under Donatel the previous year, and now all it took was a new scheme coming out and using people in different ways, and Minnesota's finding success.
Mm-hmm.
They are. You've got guys like Jalen Naylor and Brandon Powell stepping up. Backup tight ends make some crucial catches in the game. Even last week with Brian O'Neill out, David Questenberry, great signing. He did fine. And he was fired up in the post-victory in Atlanta in the locker room video, which is awesome. Yes, Wes, I think you joined the party just a little late. We are signing Anthony Barr. This is not some kind of fluff.
Barr will be added to the practice squad.
And Myles Gaskin as well.
I was going to ask you guys at the end of the show, but I think this is a really good segue to just do it right now. I wanted to ask you guys, we had talked previously if, the old motto, defenses win championships, was still valid in the NFL. And if I remember right, we all kind of said, no, it's an offense-driven league. You got to put up points and such and such. Do you guys still believe that? And the reason why I want to bring that up is because we've seen what the signing of Brian Flores and like the scheme and just the turnaround that's done for the Vikings. Do you guys still think defenses can win championships in the NFL?
You need a high-powered offense in today's NFL to win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, having a great defense these days is just like a way to help your offense, keep the score down so your offense doesn't have to score as much. It's more of trying to do what you can to keep your offense from not having to pour on 45 points a game to win. It's the defense trying to keep games. It's not a Mike Zimmer defensive league anymore where you're going to win games 17-10.
Well, think about this too. To your point, Adam, I agree. I get what you're saying, and I'm with you there. Think about this. Think about the Kansas City Chiefs. They're kind of the standard for that, right? Now, I know they lost some pieces this year. Ironically enough, it's their defense we're talking about. But think about if your defense is really good, hopefully they don't have to stay on the field too long, but they're going to have stretches where they have to sub in players. They're going to have extended play. Okay, the opposite team marches down the field, but they only get a field goal. The better your defense, too, the longer you're going to keep what is a good offense that needs to score the most points to win a game. I mean, they're going to have to be on the sideline, too. The problem with the formula we were just talking about that you guys mentioned is those teams had a really good defense, and they had a middle-of-the-road to two-thirds down the line quarterback. Very rarely do you get lined up with a team who has a top 5 quarterback, top 8 quarterback, and then a top 10 defense. It's usually one or the other, but that's where I would err.
The salary cap tends to restrict you from having both, which is
correct.
Probably why we have the salary cap the way we do. I don't want to completely cop out with my answer because I agree with Jonathan. I mean, you do have to have both, but I do think that, there's 2 things that I think we as fans have kind of undervalued a little bit. And that's defense. We're seeing what Brian Flores is doing. You do have to actually play defense to win games in the NFL. It can't just all be, hey, Justin Jefferson's going to put up fantasy football points every week and we're just going to outshoot and outscore everyone. Like, no, you do have to stop the other team. And I do think that we've devalued the running back position where we're like, whatever, you can sign anyone and bring him in and you'll be fine. I'm not so sure. Like, you do have to have players who can contribute out there and on the running back spot as well, too. We're seeing that with Madison. And I don't want to knock on a guy while he's hurt because he did get injured in that game as well, too. But you do have to, you do have to have a running back and a run game to contribute as well.
I do want to talk quick about running back because Ty Chandler did look like the more effective running back in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to see him getting a little bit more looks. But I was baffled for a second that they had that Wildcat play.
I love it.
That was something I was not expecting from the Vikings whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that too, because the other day, sometimes YouTube will just send me a throwback. Like probably 3 weeks ago, they just had Vikings Saints wild card 2019, and I was like, "You're damn right, I'm going to watch that."
Yeah,
so
I want to be angry all over again.
No, that's the one where we went in and won.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were talking about the Saints game.
Yeah, no, yeah, the one where we went to and Kyle Rudolph caught the game winner from Kirk. Probably, in my opinion,
Kirk Cousins, Rudy actually did push off a little bit. I'll say it. He did.
Yeah, of course. No, in my opinion, that's the throw of Kirk Cousins' like life in that game, for the stakes at least. But yeah, I'll have random stuff pop up like that. It's funny you mentioned that, Adam, because I had something else pop up yesterday, and I lost it now because I just thought about the Saints thing. But I'll get back to Ty Chandler. Oh, that's what it was. Ty Chandler Wildcat. I watched the highlights from the Eagles-Patriots Super Bowl, the 2017 year, and it just made me laugh because I saw Josh Dobbs go to the right and line up behind the guard or wherever, and I was like, oh, my God, it's Philly, do Philly. And, yeah, I ended up doing the Wildcat play, and I was like, how freaking sweet would it be if he caught a touchdown too? It would scare me to death, but if it ended up working out, obviously we would all love it. But I'm just going to do it because you guys are here. We give game balls and donkeys away. We've been very lazy about that this year. We were better about it in years past, but that's who it was going to go to defense, but I have to give it to Ty Chandler. First career touchdown. He didn't have many yards. Him and Josh Dobbs were only 1 yard apart as far as total yardage for rushing, but I'm happy that he's getting an opportunity. And Kevin O'Connell gave him a game ball yesterday too, which I thought was really cool.
I will take my game ball and I will hand it to Josh Metellus because I love what the Vikings are doing with Josh Metellus. He is doing everything. He's playing defense and special teams. This guy, the Vikings knew exactly what they're doing when they extended him because they were going to use him in so many ways. He's up the line. He's getting tackles for loss. He's getting hits on quarterbacks. He's dropping back into coverage. He is doing so much in his defense, and I don't think he's getting enough credit for it.
Yeah, you're right. He had 7 tackles yesterday, led the way, 5 solo, 7 total, 1 tackle for loss, 2 quarterback hits. He's been playing really good. And I'm glad you brought that up too, because you're highlighting the special teams play too. He does pretty damn good on special teams as well. Nice little chess piece.
Well, I got to give one to Josh Dobbs. Someone's got to give one to him. And I know we all know that he's playing well, but he has really stepped in.
Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, and he's really stepped in and played, I think, above expectations. When we signed him, y'all kind of thought, oh, he's a journeyman guy. He's been around the league a little bit. He probably won't do anything special. And I think that he's playing through coaching or just sheer determination. He's playing really darn good football for Minnesota right now, and I like his mobility, and he's shown some true toughness to step into this situation on short notice and perform at the level he's playing at for Minnesota.
Quick shout out too, though, for Mekhi Blackman getting his first interception of his career there, and that was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Another shout out too, because if he wasn't going to get a game ball from you guys, I'm going to shout him out and give him an honorary one. Since TJ Hawkinson was on freaking fire.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
In the first half, he was pretty good. Second half, 1 catch. Come on.
Yeah, the whole offense wasn't very good in the second half. I don't know if it was the eat the W effect or what, but they were not very good after James Winston came in. Now he did have a couple turnovers, which he's going to do. I would almost, if there was a bet, I don't bet on any games. He comes in for at least a half.
Winston is not afraid to make throws, and he pulled a couple of them off. A couple of throws that he threw, he shouldn't have thrown, and they worked. A couple of throws he shouldn't have thrown, and they did not work.
What was the kid's name? A.T. Perry? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that touchdown he caught.
I've never seen it. 6'5"?
Well, I'm not worried about that at all. From where he threw it on the field, he was on the numbers on the left side of the field.
Oh, yeah.
And he threw it to the back of the right corner of the end zone. I was like, oh, Byron Murphy. Oh, you're only 6 foot tall. Oh, no. It looks bad on camera, but he couldn't have done anything else. But
no, he was up there in his face. I don't think he could have covered it much better. Wanham has been really good when filling in and rotationally, and with Hunter unlikely to return and whatever Marcus Davenport's going to have done with him after this year, I don't know. I don't see him being a Viking next year. It's possible, but I don't see it. But Wanham could be a starter next year if things work out his way.
That would all depend on if Brian Flores stays or not. I think DJ Wanham has been quietly underrated slightly. I think he's about where he should be, but he's had some big moments in certain games. The consistency is what I'd like to see more of, but like I think immediately of the year we were not very good, and he pretty much wrecked it the last play of the game and sealed it for us by sacking Aaron Rodgers, winding up for a Hail Mary. And he'll sneak in with games and have 1 or 2 sacks. He's pretty good. He reminds me of Diet Everson Griffin. I like that. He is. He's pretty good. God, this team's going to look so different next year because of the cap and if Flores leaves. But it's a good shout out, Jonathan. I like DJ Wanham a lot. Very big fan of his. Also, shout out to Jonathan Bullard. I didn't know this. My dad actually called it out. So I'm going to brag on my my connections one more time. But I got to go tour the Vikings facility at TCO in week 5 against the Chiefs. I went in that Saturday with a friend of mine who works for the Vikings. And I didn't notice, I just zoned in. I'm like, oh, my God, JJ and Kirk. Go over and take a selfie in front of the lockers, take a picture. Didn't notice that Jonathan Bullard is to the direct left of Kirk Cousins. Fun fact about Jonathan Bullard, he went to high school 15 minutes from my house.
Yeah,
Crest High School in Shelby, North Carolina. And, he had a sack yesterday and a couple of quarterback hits, if I'm not mistaken here. Okay, 1. So he had a sack and a quarterback hit yesterday. I'm glad to see a native from North Carolina out here doing his thing. Don't mind him at all as a Viking.
There you go.
But another home game. I hated that they had only won 2 games at home so far this year. That was not a great way to start the season, but I agree with all of you guys. Josh Dobbs, there's something magical going on. I think Kyle and I especially, but I know Adam's on board with this too. Curb your enthusiasm for the end of the year. Keep your expectations low.
Did you see Curb Your Enthusiasm's coming back?
Is it coming back?
Season? Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. I don't watch many shows, but I will definitely give Larry David all the love. I would say curb your enthusiasm on the expectation of everything, because I'm not saying this is another Case Keenum year, as Kyle said earlier, but I don't think that he's going to be your long-term answer. I do think, like I said before, this is the best team he's ever been on.
Well,
he's a pro's pro.
Here's the thing. Unlike Case Keenum, you're probably going to try really hard to keep Josh Dobbs on the Minnesota Vikings, right? Like if he continues to play out the way that he's done so far for the remainder of the season, you can make a really strong case for moving on from Kirk Cousins at that point and drafting a quarterback fairly high in the first round, keeping Dobbs, keeping whoever is Hall is your third string backup guy, and letting that shake itself out. But that's
that's a much more cost-effective way to develop a young quarterback. If the draft one is to have a guy like Dobbs instead of Kirk Cousins. So that's interesting. But one cool thing about Dobbs too is that he replaced Taylor Swift on the official NFL banner on social media. So that's
so I'm giving him 2 game balls for that. I'm gonna jump in front of Kyle Smith for my donkey before he does it, because I'm gonna steal his and I'm gonna go. You know where I'm going, right?
If you don't, I'm gonna scream it. But go ahead.
Greg Joseph.
No, that's not where I'm going.
Really?
But good job.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna go for. I'm gonna go with Greg Joseph.
I want to hear this. Why?
He misses more than he should from distances that are a little more routine now than they used to be in the NFL. I'm not ready to pull a Mike Zimmer and fire him mid-season. No, we're not doing that. We're going to roll with him. But you're probably looking at bringing in some more serious competition, I think, after this year.
I have absolutely no problem with him missing a 56-yarder.
Josh Dobbs opens the KOC's playbook. Shout out, Jeremy. I've never seen you in our chat. I'm very excited to have you jump in. We'll go back to Greg Joseph in a minute. I've got to answer this question wide left. Having a mobile quarterback is going to do wonders. Yeah, I mean, ideally, my concern always comes from can they stay healthy? But this is the scramble, not the run first quarterback. I've seen Josh Dobbs make some killer throws. I was just breaking down his career earnings and then looking at his team from 2017 to here is like jumping all over the continental U.S. It's pretty weird.
We also got to give some credit for when we're talking about the protection, the scrambling, and all that. This Vikings offensive line has been getting better every week.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been so much fun to watch.
But no, Jeremy is correct. It does open up a different section of the playbook. Like you said, running a little bit of the wildcat. You know, you're not doing that with Kirk, and you can do that with Josh Dobbs. And so it's fun to see a different side of Kevin O'Connell's play calling as well too. And you have to think that the longer the season goes on, the more comfortable he gets, with the Vikings playbook, you're going to see more creative plays like that.
Do you guys follow Dalton Reisner and his wife on social media?
I do not.
He loves this team, and she loves this team.
Nice. Well, I love that they love this team. That makes me very happy.
Yeah,
we said before, social media bullied the GM into signing him, and it turned out to be right. So that's
I understand that it's a business for those guys, and that they're going to work. But aren't you? It's fun when the player is as excited to be on the team as what we are as fans to watch the Vikings. I know it's your job, but I kind of want those guys to be as excited to be a Viking as I am to watch the Vikings. So I like that out of Dalton Reisner.
Well, I have this, and I saved it earlier. I thought I sent it in our chat, but here you go, Jeremy. I'm specifically looking this up for you. From Kevin Seifert today. The Vikings started 0-3, as we all know. We were very frustrated. We mentioned earlier, I was one of the very first ones with the pick in my hand, ready saying, fire sale, everyone leave. Since week 4, their defense has ranked number 4 in points allowed, number 5 in defensive efficiency, number 5 in defensive EPA, tied for 5 in takeaways, number 7 in yards per game. So none of those are below number 7. Now, overall, points, blah, blah, blah. I think they're going to be about number 9 or 10. They're not even top 15, bro. They're top 10 defense.
I don't know if you guys read my article that came out at 6 this morning, but for the takeaways from this game, one of the ones I kind of called out the people that were the negative Nancy's and the defeatists that were so quick to talk about how this team's going down the toilet and how hesitant they are to be like, okay, maybe this team isn't so bad. The ability to climb back in and win back over the fan base and get the excitement building again is taking a lot longer than it took for fans to turn their back on the franchise. Why do you think that is?
It's just because the world is just full of hateful assholes. It is. And it's way easier to – there's some kind of satisfaction and endorphin release through all of us, some way more than others, to just be able to rain down freely and be negative and talk shit about a person or a thing and have no consequences because we don't have that anymore. I am with you, Adam. I was one of those people I was pissed. I was like, what are you – because for me, and I'll justify why I was mad even though I was wrong, I don't want to be that guy that's like, your job is to kick field goals. Your job is to do this. When you give the ball away 12 fucking times in 3 games, you can't help that as a fan be like, what the hell are you doing? Something is wrong. But, Adam, you're 100% right. Turn the mirror around, point it at yourself, and say, what can I do to support the team? After Kirk Cousins tears his Achilles, we all should have been like, well, it was a good run. We loved it. Whatever happens. And the team's like, no, hold on. We're going to figure this out. The fact that they clawed their way back to 4-4 was amazing. They're, 1 or 2 games out of the NFC North?
Oh, yeah.
Their numbers, guys, we're almost halfway through the season. They're the 7 seed in the NFC right now. They are in the playoffs right now. And I want to tell you, they just beat 2 teams above them in the playoff rankings. This team can win these games.
And you're right, because we've seen this scenario unfold with the Vikings with a different coaching staff. I mean, we reference this all the time, but the Josh Freeman game, my Lord, you talk about putting a quarterback in a situation that he was not prepared for. And by all rights, Josh Freeman was a first-round draft selection, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had games where he looked fantastic in Tampa Bay.
He did. He had one of them particularly against Minnesota, and he had one season. I think he had like 4,000 some yards. He looked like he was on the rise. But that, like to your point, Kyle, for that game, and I'll let you keep going, is you can't. I feel bad for him because he was probably like, dude, I don't know any of these guys. I haven't thrown to any of these guys. To do that on a primetime stage,
correct,
that would have been awful. Yeah, that would have been terrible.
We pretty much learned after the fact, and based on how his career went after he left Minnesota, Josh Freeman was essentially cooked by the time we got him. It was pretty well over. I don't think there was anything you could have done for it. But the difference in coaching staff is that he was nowhere near prepared to start that game. And they did him dirty by the amount of throws they had him throw. Wasn't it some insane amount of throws they threw?
It was over 50 times. It was over 50 times that game. It was absurd.
Why? I'm mad about it right now, and we're all these years later that they did that, and they were so stupid. So you really have to praise Kevin O'Connell.
Oh, you mean like when they take Joe Webb and make him a passer and not let him use his feet?
Again, perfect example, Adam, of not knowing how to use your quarterback. So Kevin O'Connell, and let's not discredit our offensive coordinator, Wes Phillips is out there too. He's got a say in this as well too. Those guys were able to scheme and put together a system that worked for Josh Dobbs.
Without Kirk Cousins, without Justin Jefferson, they're able to find a way to get this offense to score points
and beat the Niners,
and that's impressive.
The 2 seed or the 3 seed now. I want to play a little fun game, but I'm going to throw this donkey out there because I'm an asshole too, and I'll fully admit it. I hope you feel better, bro, because I know you're hurt, and I hope that you speed up.
Oh, you're going Madison.
That's
the easy one.
He fucking sucks. Get him off the team. He is not good at his job. I am so sick of this. I don't care if he gets paid to not play for us next year. Kirk Cousins is owed $28.5 million whether he plays for the Vikings next year or not. That's why I'm going to lobby for him to come back for one more year and have a little hoorah. One last ride into the sunset. Madison can get his $7 million the next 2 years and literally play Xbox wherever. I don't care.
Now, me and Mr. Smith are both in on this, where we are not saying that the Vikings did the wrong thing by getting rid of Dalvin Cook. We are not saying that was a mistake.
Right.
But bringing back Madison to be almost more of a feature back was, I don't know what the word is, but it was wishful thinking at best, I guess, is the way to say it.
The Vikings are 10 games into this season. Alexander Madison has 130 carries for 461 yards.
That's not good.
It's awful. For a starting running back, I don't care if it's a passing league.
I can't imagine the people that drafted him on their fantasy teams.
That's bad on you. I'm going to turn this
He
into
does not have
positive.
a rushing touchdown, I don't believe.
Nope, none. I am.
What's frustrating is every now and then he'll catch a pass for a big gain or have a decent run where you're like, yeah, why can't you do that?
Touchdown.
Like, why can't you do that more often? I don't get it.
And to your point, Kyle, this team's offensive line is doing a pretty good job. I've seen him too many times make that move, and this is just me. I know a lot of you in the chat, and I know you guys as the hosts have seen this better because you watch the game and absorb the information better than I do. And I'm sorry I'm on an elementary level, but I'm finally seeing, usually through the negative, he stops so much before he gets to his to the line of scrimmage. And I'm just screaming at the TV. I'm like, dude, just do what you do and run people over. I don't care if you run in the back of Garrett Bradbury. He'll push someone over.
Even the announcers.
He takes way too long to analyze the holes in front of him and see where plays are developing.
And he doesn't have very good jump cut speed like we think. And I've seen him do some spins.
Yeah, his cuts, his acceleration, I'm not as fast enough to really be able to hit those holes. And I was reading a stat about Madison and how he has the largest negative yards per rush under expected. And it's like, wow.
I will say this because I am being a jerk right now, and I really do want to keep it as nice as I can because I like him as a person. Right. Especially, hate to bring this up again, but he endured some bullshit this season with people saying some awful things to him. I love the energy, but even if he doesn't have much of anything for the game, he's every week on Instagram, he's posting big dub, and they always love photos of the game and stuff.
Right.
I can appreciate the energy there, but I really wanted him to be better and produce more, but it's been very underwhelming. I'm going to turn this into something positive just because this is stupid, fun information that none of you need. So Josh Dobbs has been a part of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams. And he's getting paid from 3 different teams this year, which is incredible. He got $500,000 signing bonus from the Browns, $666,670 from the Cardinals, and then $833,000 from the Vikings. So he's definitely making a little bit this year.
Two of the best jobs in the NFL are to get paid to not be the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns and the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, it's fun this year. He'd make a little.
I love that one day that Taylor Heineke was talking about how great it is to be a backup quarterback.
Well, that's exactly where I was going too, Adam. We just played him last week in Atlanta. He got paid 2 years, $14 million. That's enough to have life-changing money for a couple generations.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Dobbs has made $7 million in his career since 2017, which is awesome because a lot of those he didn't really play. I know he played a little in Tennessee, a little in Pittsburgh, and he bounced around between Cleveland, Detroit, and Arizona before he got here. But if he plays well.
On a Jacksonville team that had Foles and Minshew as well?
Yeah, that was 2019. That's correct.
That's wild.
Made $600,000 there too, which is crazy. He has the opportunity here with the way he's playing, barring injury, barring anything wild, that he could go out and potentially earn that life-changing money, even though he's made this, so far. I love this for him because he's at the perfect age where it's like, okay, he's not too old. He's kind of in his prime. He's a pro's pro. The stuff he said about moving, like we're not going to talk about him being an astronaut on this channel because it's been overplayed. Oh, he's only been in Minnesota, blah, blah. The fact that when he got here, only 7 days before his stuff got delivered to his home in Arizona, God, that broke my heart. I was like, dude, you've only been in your bed for 7 days? Oh, that sucks so much. I'm with you, Kyle. I think he should stay. I'm on the team sign Kirk Cousins for 1 more year because I am such against the cap for paying a player absurd, pretty much his whole salary or a lot of it to go win somewhere else. I am not on board with that whatsoever.
The only reason, and I waffle back and forth on this too, on what to do with Kirk. The only reason now that I'm saying, well, maybe you don't want to, is you're signing Kirk, and are you kicking the can down the line? Are you next year? Are we in the same situation where he's got more dead cap space?
So does the recovery from the Achilles injury have any impact on your desire to bring him back?
No, I think he'd be fine, but that's also the other end of the seesaw here when we go back and forth is if Dobbs is here and Kirk comes back and he gets hurt again, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Look at what he's doing now. I know that's the thing. Like they're talking about Josh Dobbs and he's an astronaut and he does this, but I don't care about that. He's a smart guy just in general because he did the Bradford thing when Bradford got here. It's like, hey, I know you just got here on Sunday. We need you to play next Sunday. Can you learn the playbook real quick? And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I do this in my sleep.
That video of all the offensive linemen huddling around Dobbs and listening to his cadence and trying to figure out when the snap was going to come was great.
That's so wild. When he had to come in, I was like, I literally said it too out loud. I was like, this is either going to be the best game of the year or it's going to be a complete dumpster fire. Because watching Garrett Bradbury learn his hard count on the side, like you're saying, is like, it almost triggered a little bit of Vikings PTSD for me. I was like, this is going to go so bad.
I was talking too about O'Connell in his headset, pretty much explaining the plays, what was going to go on in terminology he would understand to try to get him to know what a simple idea of what's going on, at least a read or two in that offense. And it just seems to be working out so well that he's able to pick up on both, get an instant connection with the offensive line and establish this quick connection with the offensive coordinator and the head coach to be able to come in. And all that's going to happen is going to get more and more familiar with his teammates and the offense. And this could be a lot of fun to watch for the rest of the season.
Well, I have 2 points for this, Wes. One of them has nothing to do with the Vikings. I'll get to shit on the Los Angeles Chargers, which I know Adam will gladly jump in on that with me. But your point here, Wes, it makes me respect Kirk Cousins even more. Imagine what you're saying right now. Think of the context I'm putting this in. Do you think it's helping Dobbs that O'Connell is a coach that was a quarterback? He's very friendly. He's open to helping as much as he can. Like, he'll do anything to help. He's like a parent almost. It makes me more impressed with Kirk Cousins over the years that Zimmer was here, because there were some years where Kirk threw like 35-plus touchdowns, and Kirk didn't have meetings with this dude. So he's out there literally just – he's doing this shit by himself. Came out that
Kirk and Zimmer weren't even talking. It was like, what?
And we were like, there's no way that's true. Well, apparently it was. And what's crazy is, like, on the stat sheet, those years, like, he was doing great statistically. The team was, middle of the pack, a little bit above average, whatever. But statistically on paper, those were the years where Kirk was at his best. But I think this season and last year were when Kirk really was playing his best football, because he was a little more aggressive. He was literally last year. I know the stats don't look at it, but last year was just like, fuck it, Jefferson's down there somewhere. Bam. Like,
I love that Kirk Cousins found ways to win last year.
Yes. Oh, it was 1 year ago today, by the way. I looked it up on Instagram. 1 year ago today, the catch in Buffalo with Justin Jefferson. So we're talking about how he was elevated, but it's good that we have, and transition to my Chargers point I want to talk about. This coach we have is something special because of all the things, all the ways they could have mailed in the season, and he could have secured his job with excuses elsewhere. Bro, Adam and I have different opinions on Justin Herbert, but that coach in Los Angeles, like, I can't fucking imagine how he keeps a job there. He's got to have nudes of some dude's wife on the staff there, because to be a defensive guru, to have Derwin James, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Eric Kendricks is still playing there, and I forget the corner's name. It's like an all-pro. They give up like 40 points every week. They're fucking terrible. They're so bad, and they float right at 500 or below every week. And I'm like,
I have no idea how a team with that much talent isn't winning football games.
I can't disagree with you. I want to defend Herbert, and I can only go so far with that. But that team overall, they have such a loaded roster, and they are never going to be better than second in their division if they're lucky. It's so bad. And part of that is only because Vegas and Denver are so bad. They're the definition of mediocrity, the Chargers. And it sucks. I hate that. My little brother is a diehard Chargers fan, but I hate that for him. That coach has got to go. We have it good here is my point there. I'm sorry to talk about the Chargers, but I love Kevin O'Connell, because you see when Dobbs did that where he broke to the right and ended up scrambling back to the left yesterday for the rushing touchdown. Did you see Kevin O'Connell after it? He's just like, fuck it, that works. Yeah, that's fine. If that's how you get in, that's fine. Zimmer you could see his vein popping out of his neck. Like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'll take points however I can get them. I love that he's so connected with these quarterbacks. I really do think he's flourishing as a coach. And if we could just nail the draft and not draft any more Lewis Scenes, we're going to be just fine.
Poor Lewis Scenes.
You think he was out there, maybe not this week, but the week before? You think he was kind of like playing backyard football out there?
He had been. But that's the thing, Adam. He's such a pro's pro. Like, I think he probably went in with about 10 plays he was concrete he knew of, and maybe he had variations. But he's so good at, because you have to be accurate throwing the ball. He's like, if I just got to complete 18 passes this week, I think I can do that, and the other shit I'll just figure out.
I'm assuming they were giving him plays that's like, here is your first read, here's your second read. If you don't have either of them, get it out, throw it away or run with it. Like, just look here or there. And you're seeing them do this too, where they are cutting the field in half for him a bit, where he's scrambling out to one side, where it's like, okay, you're scrambling this way, you've got to read here, or you can keep running with it. And so it's smart play calling on the Vikings behalf.
Jeremy, before I answer your question, can we go into outlandish territory here? We all know that God hates the Vikings and we're never going to win a Super Bowl. We've established that. But if for some reason they did some miracle shit and they won the Super Bowl this year, who's buying a Josh Dobbs jersey? Because I think I'm going to be on the train to do that. I'm not talking about transactions. I'm not talking about anything. I'm going to Minnesota. I'm going to be hammered off my ass drunk for that parade. But do you buy a Josh Dobbs jersey if he's the guy who leads you to the promised land? I think I would probably just hang one on my wall forever.
If Josh Dobbs was the starting quarterback to finally win a Super Bowl for the Vikings, you retire number 15 and just put it in the rafters immediately.
If anyone listening to this has not seen Fran Tarkenton talking about Joshua Dobbs, They need to go and listen to that because it's amazing.
I haven't heard about this. I need to go watch it.
I sent it to you guys in the chat.
Yeah, I said Adam sent it to us in the group chat a while back.
You guys,
I must have glossed over it.
It's a good video.
I pulled the Kyle West then. I'm sorry.
You didn't scroll up. You got to scroll up, Smith.
It's true. Jeremy Wood says, so are we all in favor of drafting a quarterback or stick it with Jaron Hall, who's actually doing a good job before the injury? Here's the thing with Jaron Hall for me. He showed very, very little because he didn't get enough time. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve a spot on the team, but financially, salary cap wise, and because this is going to be a quarterback heavy draft. Normally there's like 2 guys that go in the first round and the rest is just pick them out of a hat between rounds 2 and 5 because they're all kind of sort of the same. This one I think has 3 to 4 more that could be higher level. The problem is the Vikings are winning.
See, this year I think there could actually be 5 or 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round.
I agree with you, Adam. Do I think they're all going to be great? I don't. But is there more options, which leads mathematically to more possibilities of a percentage of it being higher, that they're good?
If you are going to get a quarterback, it should be this year. Or
That's exactly where I'm going. This is where they need to draft one because of the 5th-year option. The problem is, and I've said this, number one, this team is winning, which means you're going to be further away. And in turn of that, the opposite that's connected with that is this GM and coach, are they going to be willing to give up a little draft capital? Because every year, just like with coaches, there's quarterback turnover in the league. I think 6 or 7 coaches get fired every year after the season's over. 4 or 5 teams start new quarterbacks, and people rotate or whatever. I don't know what they're going to do with Kirk. I love Joshua Dobbs right now. I think he should stay at least for another year. But for the future, I think you should draft a quarterback no later than the 2nd round next year. But
I would not be happy if the Vikings decided to give Jaron Hall the 2024 season. I don't think that that's a smart move. I don't think I've seen enough from him to make me think that that is something he would be capable of doing. I just would not be optimistic with the season with him there. Not that he's a bad quarterback. I just think he needs more time, experience, and just overall.
You want to see more of that sample size, right, Adam?
Yeah. Well, and that's
a bit where I go with Josh Dobbs too. It's like the remainder of this year is his. Let's see that sample size. Let's see what you can do with it. I ask me today, here's my answer on Kirk Cousins. Ask me tomorrow, it'll probably change because that's how I am with this. So it'll be a fun off season where we get to go back and forth. Right now, I'm sitting here going, you're probably going to piss Kyle Smith off and pay Kirk Cousins a lot of money to not be the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings next year. But hey, that's the hole you've dug for yourself. We've just got to deal with it. Jaron Hall, we've drafted. He's cheap. He's going to be here either way. So we know we got Jaron Hall. Your backups, your Nick Mullins, you can keep Nick Mullins. Like you can find someone for that role. I do think the best scenario for this team is we're going to give Josh Dobbs a proven contract that's fair. It's a 2-year contract. It's a fair deal. We're going to draft a rookie. Adam is correct. If you're going to do it, this is the year to do it. You're going to be aggressive. I don't think you're going all the way into the top 10 and, hey, we got the 1 or 2 best quarterbacks in the draft. You're probably looking at that second pool a little bit, maybe the 3rd best, maybe the 4th best quarterback off the board taken. I think that's where Minnesota jumps up to. So you're looking at a rookie. You're looking at Dobbs. You've got Hall. I think that's kind of the smart way for the Vikings to approach that scenario.
I want to piggyback on this and keep sticking with it because there's 2 points that have to be brought up, and I think they're different. Jaron Hall is the 4th best quarterback between Kirk Cousins, Nick Mullins, Josh Dobbs, and himself. That's not a slight against Jaron Hall. What has happened is we've risen out of the dog shit ashes pile of the Sean Mannion's of the world.
He's still on the roster.
I know, but I hate him and I want him to go away. I hate that he's close with Kirk too.
What if his mom is listening right now?
You're welcome, Mama Mannion, because you have a lot of money thanks to your son being terrible at his job. That's what. I'm not going to cry for a millionaire. I'm never going to do that. Sorry. who was the guy that Matt Castle of the world, just the journeyman bullshit we've had to deal with all the time. The elevation of the standard of quarterback has risen, to answer your point, Jeremy. If it's my choice, and I think this is what's going to happen because Kwesi, Kirk, and Kevin O'Connell have said, we love Kirk Cousins and we want him to stay here. Kirk wants to stay. I truthfully in my heart believe when he's done playing football, he's retiring and staying in Minnesota. He loves it there. He's right at that age. If he was 39, I think you would call it a career. It's why I think it's fucking crazy that Aaron Rodgers is going to come back. He's going to be 40. Kirk Cousins is a few years younger. I think they're going to try to give it one last hurrah because last year ended very bitterly, losing to the Giants at home. Kirk was playing arguably his best ball this year before he got hurt. You already got him signed up for another year. I think they're going to work something out. That's probably what I think number one is going to happen. But if not, I'm with Kyle and Adam on this. Joshua Dobbs, Jaron Hall's on the roster. I don't know what you do with Nick Mullins. I think, in all honesty, Jaron Hall's not going anywhere because he was drafted, but Nick Mullins is better than Jaron Hall. He was QB2 on the depth chart for a reason. And I'm not taking anything away from Jaron Hall.
But I'm fine with Dobbs, Hall,
and a rookie.
On the 3 quarterbacks going next year. I'd be okay with that.
And it's not even because of money or whatever. That has stuff to do with it. But
I'm just having to do a lot with money.
For me, it's just a situation. This quarterback, whoever it is, Drake May, please find a way to Minnesota.
He's going top 3. There's no way.
He's going to New York or Arizona or wherever. Or the Carolina.
Or Chicago.
Carolina could take another quarterback a year later.
Carolina ain't taking nobody.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Why'd I say that? I meant Chicago because they had their pick.
Yep.
Oh, I'd be so pissed if they got him.
So here's a question for you guys.
And the Vikings can grab Justin Fields. Yippee!
Don't do it. If he gets released from Minnesota, because we're probably not trading him based on the no trade clause in his contract, so
his contract expires, he becomes a free agent.
Yep, his contract expires. You're a free agent. Do you guys think he is willing to go be a backup quarterback, a mentor to some rookie quarterback, or hey, we're going to put you in a situation where it's, quarterback 1A and 1B and it's going to be a competition? Or does he, if you sign Kirk Cousins, he has to just essentially be given the starting quarterback duties from day one? Like, what do you think that he would be looking for in free agency?
The answer is money. He's at the end of his career. He's looking to establish what's there for his family and his future. He's looking to get paid, and he's already got $20 million coming from Minnesota, so he doesn't even need to ask Minnesota. He's going to get $45 million somewhere else, and he'll be making $65 million next year to play football.
All he's got to do is walk in, and they'd be like, hey, he'll walk into the office and be like, hey, see how I walked in here? This Achilles is ready to go kick some ass. I don't know if you've seen my stats the last 12 years or however long I've been in the league. Yeah, you can go ahead and call my agent and just write that check out. And I'm not backing anybody up because you'd be lucky to have me. And he'll walk the fuck out. That's the cockiest I've ever been for Kirk Cousins publicly on this show. Not a chance he'd be a backup anywhere. He is right at the edge of.
Going to pay him $40 million to be a backup. That ain't happening.
He's too. Kyle, I know you already know this. I'm not talking down to you for this. I want you to know that. I'm saying for a general purpose on everything, he is right at the edge of that, literally one last hurrah. I got one, maybe 2 good seasons left of I'm still the shit. And then I think he's one of those guys that's going to be smart enough to be like, hey, my playing time's done. I want to keep playing, but I'm closer to 40. I'm going to spend time with my kids, and I've made the money I need to make. But yeah, he's going to walk out and be like, you guys can bid for me because I'm not coming to beg for a job. And I think a lot of places
totally see him being that clipboard holder for a team that's, sitting there helping in meetings and doing all that. I could see him being that guy, but the question is when he wants to transition to that role, because I don't think it's going to be anytime soon.
I'd love for him to be a coach, but I think he's still good enough to go out and win you games. So I don't know. I think that's what he's going to do.
So what you're saying is after Kirk retires, a Minnesota Viking 5 years from now, they should fire the head coach and hire him immediately?
I don't know if I want him to be the head coach, but I would love for him to come in like Terrence Newman did and be a position coach for a while. That'd be pretty sick.
Didn't he hate
Kirk,
that?
I mean, he was old enough. He should have been on the sideline already, but he was still playing pretty good with Zimmer. What I think Kirk could do is come in and just explain the game like O'Connell does to him to another guy, and maybe put it in a way, easier to, instead of playing telephone or translate like, Kevin O'Connell has to do. He's just going to be another layer to help a quarterback out. They did it in Carolina. I literally watched all of these guys walk by me. Frank Reich was there. Andy Dalton was there, and Josh McCown. I know they're having a bad season because the roster is very bad, but you can't ask for much more support than like a fringe starter, low end or high end backup. The guy who's played quarterback, he literally got called one week and he beat the Vikings as a Bear. He's been a high school football coach forever. He's played in the NFL on a bunch of teams. And you got the coach that used to be the quarterback. I think he's won a Super Bowl somewhere and all that.
Dude,
that's kind of what they should build.
Frank Reich was like old school Fitzmagic back in the day. Like he was
That's what they should build in Minnesota. I don't know if Kirk would ever do that, but that's a long-winded answer. I don't think Kirk's going to take any backup money yet. I think right when the time comes for him to be like, hey, would you be a backup now that you're getting older? He'll be like, I'm retired. Thank y'all. I made a bunch of money. I think that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, I can see him wanting to spend time with his family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a big family guy. I appreciate that about him. But wrapping up the show, we'll recap everything. The Vikings are signing Myles Gaskin, the running back, and former linebacker of the team, Anthony Barr, to the practice squad. I expect Ivan Pace to get a lot of reps in Jordan Hicks' absence. He had surgery yesterday.
Pace is a starter, so he probably should.
Oh, my bad. Well, who else is on the other side then? Am I thinking of Asamoah maybe? Maybe he'll get more time?
Was that Troy Dye they were playing in the game on Sunday?
Man. Either way, this would be a nice depth piece.
Andrew Sendejo. That's who I'm expecting to step up into a larger role.
I liked Andrew Sendejo. He served me a coffee at Caribou Coffee. Nice
guy.
He was a
good,
I remember that in your photos, Adam.
Time.
He was very awesome. I remember that in your photos, man. It's really cool. They go on the road this week. They are playing in Denver, which is I don't know. That's a tough place to play. I don't know how well they'll fare. The Broncos did start to get into a little bit of a rhythm. I think they had a bye week this week, so they'll have a chance to get healthy. I don't think that their team is better than ours. I don't think their coach is better than ours.
Do you think this might be? Will be ready?
I think because the window is going to come to where he doesn't have to play till after the bye, but they can activate him right before. I think that's probably what they should do. I think you should save him till after the bye. But according to Twitter and Facebook, we should trade him because he's given up on the team.
Right.
Well, they've won more games without him.
Undefeated.
Yeah, of course. Go. My dog's butting in like, are we done with this podcast?
Broncos are playing the Bills tonight. They have a short week to play Minnesota.
Which I appreciate. Any advantage over Sean Payton. Russell Wilson, even though he's a cornball, I don't hate him as a person. I don't think he's a bad person. Sean Payton, you are a toilet of a human, and I hate you. And I hope all the bad things happen to you. So I am extra rooting for the Broncos to suck on this upcoming game against the Vikings. Vikings are 6-4, second in the NFC North, seventh in the playoff seeding. They would be going to Detroit.
Yep.
The Philadelphia Eagles are the best team in the NFL as far as records go. They are 8-1. And I think the Lions are the 2 seed. The Niners are the 3. And I believe the Saints are the 4 seed because that's the South. So there's an interesting little mix of how it's going to go. The cool thing, like I said earlier, that you guys can be happy about is we got to show up. The Vikings have already beat 2 teams above them in the seeding in the Saints and the 49ers. And I think that's pretty awesome. They have a chance to beat the Lions twice. They'll have 2 opportunities to beat them later in the season. So,
yeah, the end of the season is going to be very dramatic.
It is.
The NFL knew exactly what they were doing with that scheduling.
What's up, Sergio? Did you hear the news? We're not trolling you. Anthony Barr is coming back to the Vikings.
Barr walked into Minnesota.
And I hope Minnesota does Anthony Barr. That's my hope.
We're excited. 2 more games until the bye. Everybody can get rested up. We'll keep you updated on the Justin Jefferson situation. I don't expect him to play this weekend, as Adam was asking, but we'll see. I would hope that they err on the side of caution.
Only if he's 100% ready. If there's any question, don't do it.
Right.
Would be
I'd
nice
love for
to
him
get
to get.
KJ Osborne back as well. Having as many weapons back would be fantastic.
I want to get him out of concussion protocol. I want Jaron Hall to pass concussion protocol, so we'll have not a Sean Mannion situation possibly. That would not make me very happy. Maybe Nick Mullins will come back. I don't know if he came back already off of IR, but a lot of guys were designated to return. Hopefully we'll have a week where TJ Hawkinson can heal. He was very beat up yesterday, but he powered through a lot of pain and had himself a pretty good day. For the
Every
most part,
time I hear or see Sean Payton's name, I picture that Kevin James, King of Queens meme picture.
Oh, man. For all the things I love about Kevin James from King of Queens and that stupid MMA movie, and then obviously Chuck and Larry, my God, why would you do that stupid Sean Payton thing? That is so weird. Oh, man. We're going to get out of here. I think that's it for everybody. We're going to plug away. I'm going to do the honors now to tell you guys.
Survival League. I'm a sad guy.
You did. Who'd you pick?
I got beat by the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, that Kyler Murray comeback game.
Sad times.
Can this Vikings team beat the Lions? Yes, Jonathan, they can. All they have to do is score one more point when they play them. And
I'm glad you asked can instead of will.
Yes. I think at best, and I think you guys both agree with me on this, I think at best the Vikings split with them. I don't think there's any way they beat them twice. Realistically, if they lose both times, I won't be upset because I do think the Lions are a better team. But I'm hoping and expecting that they split with them. Knowing our luck, they'll lose in Minnesota and win in Detroit because that's just what they do. It's weird like that. But what it's going to come down to and what makes it interesting, it's funny you asked that, Jonathan. Trying to get out of here and you're asking good questions, Jonathan. What the hell? If it comes down to, let's say the Vikings win that first meeting in week 16, normally when they might rest everyone in week 18, it might come down to them having to play starters again and us play starters again to determine seeding. Because if it comes down to whoever wins this game wins the North, you bet your ass both of those teams are playing the starters. So that first game that they play, I don't know if it's in Detroit or in Minnesota. I think it's in Minnesota. That's going to come down to some heavy stakes. And I'm just now realizing that could be like the determining game of the season because if they end up beating the Lions in Minnesota, that week 18 final matchup is going to be very interesting. But the good news is, now that I'm thinking about it, they'll play in Minnesota twice and they'll have Green Bay. So they don't have to go outside for the last 3 games, which is really nice because it's brutal in that area of the country. So that's pretty cool. They will all be indoors. But anyways, Kyle, I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can. I think Adam might have froze up on us.
Yeah, I'm going to do the honors here. Like and subscribe, please.
I think we got him back.
Yeah, we got you back, Adam. Like and subscribe, please. We don't really bombard you at the beginning of the show like we should. Maybe I'll be better about that one day.
I have not checked to see if we got a review over on Spotify yet. So I hope one of you people did because we did not have one previously.
I didn't check. Oh, man. Lions do have a easy schedule remaining. That's good to know. It's going to come down to the wire with this team like it always does. But, yes, if you could like and subscribe on YouTube. If you have the YouTube app on your phone, please hit the notification bell. It will let you know when I schedule these shows ahead of time. We'll send you a little notification like, hey, we're going live on this day at this time. I'm trying to be really good about giving you guys 12 hours to 24 hours notice. We appreciate the faithfuls in here. We usually have 8 to 10 people who are always here every week. Shout out to you guys that are here every week with Wes and Sergio and Jonathan and Charlotte. We appreciate you. I know Jake was up there earlier. But, yeah, shout out to who do we have in here? Jeremy. I haven't seen you in a while. Sam also.
I just checked and we do not have a Spotify rating yet. Not a single one.
That is unfortunate. You guys should make that change. Shout out to you guys. I'll quit saying it. Please like and subscribe. Facebook, YouTube. We're at all your podcast platforms. And, yeah, I'm really excited to keep going. We have an interesting game on Sunday night. This could be a trap game for the Vikings. So
2 primetime games and a bye. Hope you guys are excited. But you can check out my work over on the Viking Age. I put out articles quite a bit. This morning at 6, I put out an article about my 6 takeaways from the game against the Saints, and I thought it was kind of interesting. I tried to include a little bit of different stuff than what everybody else out there is talking about to try to keep things interesting and fresh. I mean, I could just parrot what every other media is talking about, but I don't like to do that. I like to do my own research and form my own opinions. I think that's the better way to do it.
Adam is not lazy. I appreciate him when he covers the Vikings, unlike most of those people in the national media.
You can check out me on social media. I'm at MN Viking Zombie. That's on Twitter, X, or whatever you want to call it these days. I'm TikTok, Instagram, all of them. I'm at MN Viking Zombie. Come talk to me. Let's hang out.
Thank you, Adam. Plugging away. MN Viking Zombie. Go follow his stuff. And Viking Age. Kyle West is on Blue Sky, right?
Blue Sky is where you can follow me. Over on Blue Sky, at Vaguely Square is my handle. Come chit chat Vikings football. We don't have enough people talking football over on Blue Sky right now. That's criticism of the platform. It hasn't quite crossed over into sports media yet. So come chit chat.
Green grass for that.
Yeah, come chit chat some Vikings football with me.
You can also buy Kyle West's stuff here if you're listening audibly and not with the visual. This is kylewest84.pickfair.com. I'm always going to shout him out for his photography work, so check that out. Yeah, we promoted the Survival League. If you guys are deep into the Survival League, you will know. Check your emails on Wednesday. They send you a reminder to tell you who to pick. I don't remember who I picked, but I don't think I am eliminated this week, thankfully. I'm very happy with that. I am on thin ice, though. I have 2 strikes.
Yeah, I'm on my last strike as well. It's a scary place to be.
Who did I pick this week? Seattle. Yeah, I picked Seattle to beat Washington. I'll take that. If you guys want to follow me on the old Instagram or the old Twitter machine, I am at NC Dog Dude, and we can chat about dogs or Vikings or MMA sometimes, but music, dogs,
we had
and
2
Vikings.
people who got strikes on picking Cincinnati this week. I didn't realize that.
Oh, that's right. Who showed up in Cincinnati and won? Who was that? The Texans? CJ Stroud's going to win Rookie of the Year.
He should have an amazing year.
Adam, I'm going to let you do the honors.
Thanks to everyone who joined us in the chat. We love having you join us. We always appreciate the interaction, the conversation. Talking Vikings football is something that we love to do, and we would love to do it with you every week, at least once. So in the meantime, we'll be back next week to talk about the game against the Denver Broncos. But as always, in the meantime, stay classy, Minnesota.